We're ready. Here we go. I got to remember how I start this. I call the meeting of the North Syracuse Central School District Board of Education to order. Please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to begin with a moment of silence for the following. Rona Nitch, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District, and Judith Jeffers, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have a proclamation to start our meeting today. For school physical therapists, I'm going to read that, then Mr. Bowles and I will distribute that to, we have somebody in attendance? Yes. Okay. Throughout our school buildings, school physical therapists have an impact on the district, students, and families. They have accepted this exceptional responsibility with commitment, dedication, and love. School physical therapists of the North Syracuse Central School District are professionals of the highest caliber. They've dedicated themselves to the ideals of their profession. Students, parents, administrators, and community members recognize, applaud, and appreciate their efforts to ensure students receive quality services. To honor the school physical therapists of the North Syracuse Central School District and their accomplishments, I, Paul Farfalia, President of the Board of Education of the North Syracuse Central School District, on behalf of the board, express our deepest gratitude and hereby declare October 11th, 2022 as School Physical Therapist Day to be celebrated with appropriate educational activities. I make that motion. If I get a second from Mr. Crabtree. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the school board and the district administration, I would like to thank all the school physical therapists for their service and their efforts. And Mr. Krilla, I want to thank you for accepting.
Thank you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to begin. We have a presentation. It's the building planning team from Carl W. Siley Bear Road Elementary. So you can come on up and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's better. I'd like to introduce Jessica Bella. She is our co-chair for BPT. And we have also Mrs. Vicki Ellsworth, who is one of our AIS reading teachers. I'd like to call your attention to the first slide. And we have changed quite a bit, as you are aware, having brought back our 3rd and 4th grade. We do have an additional population in kindergarten. We've added 1 section. We originally were thinking of 5 sections this summer, but we added another group of students, which necessitated going to 6. In 1st grade, we also have 6 sections. That's up from last year. 2nd grade, 5 sections. 3rd grade, 4th. And in 4th grade, we have 5 sections. Our additional classrooms numbered 13 this year. 11 were grade level classrooms. One was an AIS room and the other one was band and orchestra. Our free and reduced lunch, as you can see, since we're so early in the year, has remained basically the same. And our in and out students is also the same, but keep in mind that last year we were only talking about K1 and 2. This year, those statistics include 3 and 4. On the next slide, you'll see our vision and mission statement. Because it's so early in the year, our vision and mission statement is the same as it was last year, and we will be supporting that, but we will also be talking about possibly looking at it again to make adjustments to also go along with the district vision and mission statement.
Okay, and then so our goal number one related to the graduation rate is our building attendance goal, which is, as you can see, was quite high from last year at 36.6%. So our goal this year as a school, as a BPT and as a school is to cut that in half and have it be right around 18%. And that's something that we'll work on throughout the year. We do have a couple things in place right now, and that is our attendance office will keep close track of the children that end up on that chronic absentee rate, and they will let BPT representatives know. And as grade level BPT representatives, we can take it back to our PLCs, and we've actually started doing that already. And, come up with things that maybe we can help out, suggestions from other teachers. And then we have a tiered system for communicating to those chronically absent students. As you can see there, it starts with the parents and then goes to the school counselor and then the principal. And some of the things that we're trying to do, teachers work really, really hard at trying to keep the kids in school, but some things are out of our hands. And again, this will be an ongoing goal for us as a BPT to work on, but some of the things, positive comments to children, special recognitions for those that have good attendance. So this will be an ongoing, it's kind of nice that we get to present this in the beginning of the year so that we can build upon our goal and support our goals throughout the year. So we are hoping to get a better attendance rate for this year. Oh, sorry.
Switch spots. Our next goal that we're working on is our reading proficiency to go along with the district strategic plan. Bear Road has set a goal to increase our student reading proficiency or grow the green 25% for the 22-23 school year. To address the district strategic plan goal for reading proficiency, we'll be focusing on implementing the new CKLA literacy program for our tier 1 instruction. To help our tier 2 and tier 3 students, we'll be implementing a multi-tiered system of supports by having kid talks and analyzing our data during our collaborative team meetings, and utilizing our ITAs for tier 2 and our AIS department for tier 3 small group instruction. During our small group instruction, we have multiple resources. They're listed up there for you to see, to choose from, depending on the needs of our students. Some of those examples would be the intervention materials that come along with CKLA, the Really Great Reading, and the LexiCore is a new program that we're working with this year. We will continue to use Ames Web Plus to screen and monitor our students, their progress along with the CKLA benchmark assessments. We will also use the assessment information to adjust our instruction and strategies throughout the 22-23 school year. And as you can see on this slide, we were able to increase the reading proficiency of our students 18.44% in the 21-22 school year. We started the fall with a 25.6% proficiency rate, and by the spring we had increased to 44.1%. We just finished our screening for the fall, and are starting with a 32.8% proficiency rate. So with our goal of growing the green 25% this year, our goal is to have 57.8% of our students being proficient readers by this spring. That would be a 13.7% increase from the previous year.
Mrs. Pacelli had hoped to be here tonight, but illness in her family precluded that. So our emotional competency goal came from our BIMAS data, which was in 2022. We used it to set our goal for this year. And out of the 5 categories, the largest red area was with social functioning. So we decided to target that as our SEL goal. We started with 79% of the students falling into the typical and strength ratings for social functioning, and we've set the goal to increase this to 85%. One important thing to note is that this information, again, is K2, and so this year when we give it to the entire building, we'll also have 3rd and 4th grade to look at, but we hope to disaggregate the data so that we can again look at what is happening with our K2 students who took this last year and make sure that we are addressing their needs in addition to the needs that we may identify with 3rd and 4th grade. So we will use this and use our strategies, which are in the next slide. The Positivity Project is still in place. Our mindful minutes, that students really enjoy that. You can see that slide there as an example, the picture of them doing their mindful minute in the morning. Our second step in ADAPAP lessons will continue. And we're hoping to get our Promise Zone specialist in place this year because we really feel that the social groups that we do during lunch are very important to helping students with their emotional growth as well as their adjustments to school because it's difficult this year. The curriculum is very strong and our CKL is new and it's very demanding. And we want to make sure that our students are handling the academics in addition to everything that's going on in their lives.
Our math goal this year is to increase our students in the green for number sense by 30% by the spring. To address our goal, we will be utilizing number talks and HMH into math in a workshop model for our tier 1 instruction. We believe that using a workshop model will serve as a platform for advancing our students' mathematical skills, their abstract reasoning, their collaboration skills, and their ability to learn from peers. To help our tier 2 and 3 students, we will again be using a multi-tiered system of supports into math and the Do the Math program for small group interventions and instruction. We will continue to use Ames Web Plus to screen and monitor our students' progress along with the district benchmark assessments to adjust our instruction and strategies throughout the 22-23 school year. Last year, we were able to increase the number sense proficiency of our students 26.96% in the 21-22 school year. We started the fall with a 25.6% proficiency rate, and by the spring, we had increased to 52.6%. We just finished our screening for the fall and are starting with a 35% proficiency rate. So with our goal of growing the green 30% this year, our goal is to have 65% of our students being proficient in number sense by the spring. That would be a 12.4% increase from the previous year.
And this is the celebration, and to kind of wrap up our presentation is our biggest celebration is that we are back together again, K4. We really missed the 3rd and 4th grade staff. We are back together as a K4. And it's a wonderful feeling to all be back together. And then one of the things that's not on here is I just wanted to thank the district for Olivia. She's going to be mad at me for this, but thank you. She is what Bear Road needed to help us fill some gaps that we had and to bring the KWS back to Bear Road. That's for sure. And I know that Mr. Siley would be very proud that we are proud of our school again and we're back on track. And I thank you, and all that staff right there also thanks you. So with that, that is our celebration, and that brings us to the end of our presentation. So are there any questions?
Questions, comments?
Olivia was probably studying all night. And I'm happy to have the AIS teacher here today. How many AIS teachers do we have at Carl W. Siley?
3 teachers and 1 teacher assistant.
Wonderful. And that's because of our superintendent who believes in placing AIS teachers based on needs of the buildings. Math. About approximately how many children are receiving AIS in math, and what grade levels are you working with?
I don't know what the levels.
Okay.
I don't know what the levels were last year.
Yeah.
We were just working on grouping today. And we are looking at probably, I think it's about 30 students. Because we do have high numbers in the ELA, so that's going to take a little bit of preference over the math. And what was the second part of your question?
I don't remember.
Great.
Grade level, sorry.
Oh,
Thank you.
and we're going to be working with,
Do we work with first grade now? Because years ago when I was a math person, we
Right.
did not work below grade 3. Are we working with some of those children
we
now?
are working
A
with,
number sense?
we are working with 4 and 3, and during wind times, we can do a little bit of math in there, and we have specific groups coming to grade 2. We don't have specific groups coming over to grade 1 right now, only because the demand is we had a very low
Mm.
cohort this year in ELA. So we've got 8 sections, 8 groups of ELA tier 3 help.
My last question is, we have some wonderful students in the audience who are probably excellent readers. What do we do, maybe Jessica knows this, for the advanced readers that are in your school, or the advanced math students? Is that mainly up to the teacher, classroom teacher, or is there any extra stuff that you do for those students?
Well, certainly we absolutely talk about that in our PLCs and how we can support each other at the grade level. Certainly, teachers do things their own way also, but we communicate that. And we also, during our win time, when that gets up and started, that's when we will be able to really target those higher level students also and give them what they need.
Good.
So we work very closely together in our PLC groups to support each other and our kids grade level, like the whole grade level.
And you did say something about our beloved principal, Carl W. Siley, before Olivia.
Best.
Must be, he waited like 30 years for that building to be renovated. So I know he's up there in heaven, smiling because it's a beautiful building. It's beautiful.
Any other comments, questions? Yes.
Sorry, I didn't realize that was so loud.
Microphone there.
First of all, kudos to the progress that has been made. I'm looking though, and I'm seeing I think my old eyes here, 50-something% in tier 3. And I'm just wondering how you figure out, there's obviously not enough AIS help. How do you figure out who are going to be the tier 3 kids, who are going to be the tier 2 kids? And, how do you figure out, how do you prioritize, I guess is what I'm asking.
Right. Well, this is a new experience for me because it's my first year. But so I've been talking to a lot of the other teams and the people in the district to get help with that as well. But we use our Ames Web data that we just finished. And that's our first step. And then from there, we have, there are assessments in the Do the Math program. So we're pulling about 45 students in the next couple of days to do some more assessment. And then we'll compare the two, and we will take the lowest kids and pull them in to a group of anywhere between 3 and 6, depending on the numbers that we end up with.
Okay. And kudos on the Positivity Project.
Hey, thank you. I just want to say, I hope you're enjoying the building, and it's a long time coming, as Mr. Crabtree said, a long time coming, and you deserve it. And as you know, it was a rocky road to get there between supply chain issues, state ed, and I won't even mention the pandemic, but I just did. So thank you.
Just gonna say, we're still waiting for Mr. Sturpey. So what we'll do is we'll have the Roxborough Road Elementary group start their presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. There we go. Green lights. Green is probably good, huh? All right. So thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time tonight to highlight some of the things that we're working on and accomplishing over at Roxborough Road. So we'll jump into our first slide here and I'll give you some overview information of our building. So this year we've seen an increase of students. 27 additional students have enrolled at Roxborough so far this year. And we have an increase of 11 different staff members working to help support the students at Roxborough. Some of the programs that we have at Roxborough this year, we continue to have the 1214 program. New for us this year is the ENL program. We have grades kindergarten through third grade. And we have 2 UPK classrooms. You see our free and reduced lunch numbers at 67%. We actually think that's probably an underrepresentation of our students in need. We're one of the buildings that qualifies for across the board for all students to receive breakfast and lunch each day without the parents having to complete paperwork. So we do think that number is slightly lower than what the number actually is. And you see this, we continue to be a very transient population at Roxborough. You see the bottom line. So far, as of September 20th this year, we've had so from July 1st to January or September 20th, we've had 64 students enter and 22 students exit Roxborough. Just take a quick moment to take a look at our mission and vision statements.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about chronic absenteeism. And chronic absenteeism continues to be an important focus area for our building. Last year, we saw a decrease of 21.4% in chronic absenteeism from the 2020 to 2021, from the 2020 to 2021 to the 2021 to 2022 school year. And this year, our goal is to have 14.2% or fewer chronically absent students. Okay, so here's some strategies that we have in place. This summer, we began identifying the students and families that are at risk for being chronically absent. In the beginning of the year, we send home an attendance pledge and have all the students and parents sign it. We utilize our family engagement and student engagement specialists to reach out and connect with families to learn about barriers that are leading to chronic absenteeism, as well as to educate them around the importance of regular school attendance for school success. And we have also been working on fostering positive relationships in school with chronically absent students through a program we have, which is called Check In and Check Out. We're very fortunate this year to have Chow Lee, and we're going to be having the Rising Rock Stars program that will be beginning on October 17th. And the students are going to be able to come early to school and stay late. And the program will focus on academic tutoring and other high interest activities. So we're hoping that this will also promote attendance, thinking that the kids would really want to come to school to be in this program. And when when parents need help with transporting students, like if a child misses the bus and they don't have transportation, we help with that. We have our family engagement specialists actually go pick up the children and bring them to school.
So I'm going to speak on our reading proficiency. Our goal this year is to have 41% of our students score in the proficiency range on Ames Web Plus. Last year, we grew about 6.6% in the area of reading. Some of our strategies that we are implementing, we're using our diagnostic assessments such as Ames Web Plus, Haggerty, and CKLA. And with these assessments, we're able to drill down into the specific instructional needs of our students, and we review that data at our PLCs. And we will have win time for grades K through 4, excuse me.
Another focus area for us at Roxborough is to help support the social emotional needs of our students. So we've set a target for ourselves to have less than 15% of our students that are going to score in the high risk category for social and academic functioning, which are some of the core competencies that are assessed using the BIMAS 2. And the BIMAS is a universal screener that we administer to all students 3 times a year. And some of these competencies include things like conduct, negative affect, academic functioning, self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and responsible decision-making. To help us accomplish this SEL goal, we're going to continue our use of the Positivity Project and continue to implement positive behavior interventions and supports, PBIS. PBIS is an evidence-based, research-based, multi-tiered framework that really helps us to focus our classrooms in our school and help to meet the overall needs towards a positive outcome for our students, both behaviorally and academically each day. We also utilize something called strategic academic and instructional groups. We call it SAG. And basically that's an opportunity for us to pull together students that are struggling in a particular area and gives us a chance to teach and also reteach some of the skills that will help them to be successful, not just in the classroom, but throughout the course of their day at Roxborough. I mentioned the BIMAS previously, but we continue to use that and use that data to help us really identify students and also perhaps identify some interventions such as the check-in and check-out that Tracy had mentioned previously. And we also are thankful that we've got a restorative practice specialist and a promise zone specialist to help support us through our tier 1 instruction throughout the course of the school day, focusing on some of those SEL skills. Some things we focus on and utilize is we host restorative circles, and we also provide some professional development to our staff and teach and help train our students towards successful functioning in school.
So now on to our math. Our goal this year is to have 50% of our students score in the proficient range on Ames Web Plus in the area of math. Last year, we grew 22.8%. This is one of our areas for the state plan, so it's a great focus in our building. We are implementing several strategies. We are assessing our students through common assessments and reviewing that data weekly at our PLC meetings. We have students set personal achievement goals based off their achievement on their assessments. Our instructional TAs support our math focused win time in grades 1 through 4 so that students can get focused intervention in smaller groups.
Okay, I'm going to highlight a few of our building celebrations. Last year in March, we had a virtual family math night. We did it virtually, and we had over 100 students and their families attend. We sent home snacks and math kits ahead of time prior to the event. The students were put into breakout rooms by grade level, and they completed an escape room with their family. This year, we were lucky to bring back the Breakfast Club, and we had a few guest readers. Mr. Bowles and Mr. Crabtree came for that, where parents and students came early to school. They were able to eat breakfast and they listened to a story by a guest reader. And then each student did receive a copy, their own copy of the book that was read. In May, we had Wellness Night. We had 114 students and their families attend, and the families were able to visit like community resources. And we had the book fair, and we also had book bingo. This year, we took our kindergarten orientation, meet your teacher, and our back to school barbecue, and we combined them into one big event with Roxborough Road Middle School. We had over 1,000 people attend. Students were able to drop off their school supplies, meet their teacher, and the PTG provided hot dogs, chips, and a drink. We also have a food pantry at Roxborough Road Elementary School. And this year, well, since February of 2021, we've made 452 deliveries to families that have food insecurity. Visions Federal Credit Union gave us a $500 grant through Visions Loves Educators. And ProAct donates every year at the holiday time. They plan to do it again this year because I spoke with them. And they come at Christmas time and they bring us a whole bunch of different items for our food pantry. And we're also lucky to work very closely with the Gathering Place. This year they donated 120 backpacks filled with school supplies for our students. All right, this is the end of our presentation, and we would just like to thank the Board of Education, all the district administrators, the RRE staff, and the families. And we will answer any questions you may have for us.
Okay. I'll let Mr. Crabtree go first.
Math. That is amazing. Double, more than double. So what do you think it's attributed to? That's a large gain for a school.
Okay. Well, last year, we had win time and we serviced kids in math starting at first grade. So we did first, second, third, and fourth. So we think that really helped us out a lot to grow our green.
The common assessments too that come with the Into Math program that gives us something really purposeful to talk about and anchor to during our PLC meetings as well. So combination of those things really help us to make some really nice gains and growth in math.
Lisa Goldberg and Chow were here about a month ago for the rocks. Help me out. Rise. I can't wait to see this program begin. And you come back next year when you do your presentation and see what it has done for your building. You know, John Carrillo talked to us 2-3 years ago about poverty. There's poverty in our district. And it's throughout the district. It's not just at Roxborough and Mattydale. It's in Cicero. It's in North Syracuse. And until you work with that, with your food pantry, with the kind of activities, school does not go from 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock. These kids, some of them are alone in the morning, some are alone at night. And now you're going to start activities early in the morning and you're going to go through 7 o'clock at night. I just think this is where education should be. Thank you for doing it and volunteering for it. And for Lisa and Chow for writing the grant, because it's going to make a difference in our school district. Thank you.
Other comments? I have a few, but I want to make everybody go first here.
I'm curious on what the Positivity Project Awards are.
So each week we highlight one of the traits of the Positivity Project and we ask each classroom to select a student that best embodies that trait for that given week. And then the student, they come on down, we take their picture with their trait. We send the picture home, we post it on our building marquee sign inside. So just the excitement that the kids had. One student, I remember him jumping up and down. He's like, "You mean that's actually me? I won this?" So it absolutely made his day.
Nice.
We have a couple
can
pictures up there.
see-
It's
The two
hard-
little girls top and bottom with their.
I think it
Yeah,
did-
top
Dan-
center
Dan-
and bottom center.
I got it
Dan
on the
is typing
slide here.
over, so-
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
Yep. I see it. Yep.
Oh, is that it? Okay. I see our assembly person here, so I'm just gonna make my comments brief because I don't want to hold them up. But I did want to say thank you. I don't have questions, just a few comments. I'm optimistic about the community schools project with you in Roxborough Middle, and I think it's exciting. I just want you to know that it's recognized and appreciated what you do at Roxborough. I know a few Roxborough people. I see the people with the Roxborough Rock shirts, like we got Pops over here, we got Ms. Petrarca over there, sporting their enthusiasm. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, see, but I'm looking at the computer. I'm sorry. Hi there. Because it takes a special educator to, I know some of you have been in Roxborough some of your whole career, I think, right? And I think it takes a special person to make that building a home, which I think you've done. And I was at a conference in the summer and they talked about learning loss from the pandemic. What happened in 1920 and 2021, and a lot of people expected this bump or recovery in 21, 22. Well, it hasn't been seen nationally. It was a difficult year. And we do know it was difficult, especially for staff, all staff, teachers, TAs, aides, principals, right up to the district office. I know a lot of people expect a lot out of, 22, 23. But I think any progress, I think we need to all recognize that just baby steps are what it's going to take as long as we're moving forward and moving upward in progress. It's going to take time to recover from what's we've been through and what our students have been through especially. So I just want to say it's appreciated what you do there. And I do have a criticism, and this is for the benefit of, and you may laugh, for Mr. Irwin over here. He probably wonders why some of these light bulbs are incandescent. So we're going to want to move those over to LED as we progress into our next BPT presentation. I see a couple fluorescent also, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
I know we have a lot of students here who are eager to receive their certificates for the reading challenge, and I know my neighbor here, Sophia Swanson, needs to get back home to study and then go to sleep. Hi, Jacob, you're being really good there too. Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to Assemblyman Sturpey. Thank you. Do you need a microphone?
Well, before Assemblyman Sturpey gets started, I just want to thank the students and the parents. You've been a wonderful audience, and having to sit through the start of a board meeting, your children are absolutely wonderful, and thank you. Assemblyman Sturpey, you have the floor.
Thank you. Testing, there you go. Okay, I'm here to announce this year's participants in the Assembly 2022 Summer Reading Challenge. And, before I start this, I first want to thank the North Syracuse School District for participating to the level they do every year. I must say, I don't know how long I've been doing this, but at least 10, 12 years. And I think North Syracuse every year has the most participants, the most kids that actually complete the Summer Reading Challenge. So congratulations. So the kids have to read at least 15 minutes a day for 40 days in a row. It's probably not that easy. So I also want to congratulate the parents. I'm sure you have a lot to do with them finally completing the project. And we know from research, and talked about this already, I heard it, that if kids don't read during the summer, they can lose up to about 3 months of reading progress. And that's cumulative. So it's important, very important they read there. Okay, now I'm going to read out a name, and then hopefully that person will be here and come up. Hope I don't destroy too many names here, but we'll do the best we can. Ethan Tracy. Is Ethan here? He is. You were the dog man guy. Okay. I saw that in the letter. Okay. You get this and your parents get that. Okay. And then we'll go out and take a picture in the hall afterwards. Okay. All right. Congratulations. Piper Prince. Not here. Sophia Swanson. Oh. Molly Barber. Okay. Sapanicaria. Is that close? Okay, sorry. Acharya. Okay. Ava McConery. Thomas Carey. Okay. Lincoln Coffee. Boom. Anika, not here. Madison Patrick. Nope. I see, I know one here. Nora Tees. Brinley Stevens. Nope. Sylvia Dong. No. I guess that's it. That's all of them. Okay, now we can all go out in the hall. We'll take individual pictures, then we'll take a big group picture. Okay? All right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, we'll turn it over to Mr. Keegan, who's going to introduce our presenters for the capital project presentation.
So tonight to talk more about our capital projects and where we're going is the CEO and managing partner of King & King, Kirk Narberg, and the district's director of facilities, Matt Irwin. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm gonna get up, move around a little bit. It's been a long evening and I'm sorry, but we're not gonna compare to the last group. So my apologies.
Not even close.
The one good news I have is LED lighting is on its way. So,
Okay.
I want to take everybody back for a minute to January of 2021, when we first presented on our long-range facilities plan. The first couple of slides we're going to show tonight are going to kind of revisit that a little bit. And get it to go full screen. Okay, so we're going to review that information a little bit and also talk a little bit about what we've experienced over the past year that really initiated this conversation today. Okay. So back in 2021, we talked about the fact that we have a large and aging portfolio of facilities, which in our building condition survey, we identified a lot of work that needed to be done, an exponentially huge number. We talked about our enrollment. It's declined. We're no longer overcrowded, but we also don't have a ton of extra room. Okay, so we're in a very comfortable place, but we're not talking about scaling back too awful much. Our current environment requires greater levels of, well, that picture's right in the way, of building security. And if you look at the news lately, threats are increasing around the country. Threats are increasing in our backyard. So really, security was one of the driving forces to bring this conversation to bear today. We have, aging facilities. We have different systems that need attention on a regular basis. And the question I ask is, can we be better prepared? Okay. And the answer, unfortunately, is always yes, we can be better prepared. Okay. It's not that we're not prepared today, but can we be better prepared for tomorrow? The needs of our school community are always evolving, and it's a rapid change, and our facilities have to adapt to these changes. And together we need to leverage and continue to leverage every available financial tool and work carefully to construct a financial plan to support the needs we identify while being sensitive to our taxpayers. And that statement is truer today than it was in 2021. Okay. And we're very aware of that fact. And we've got new members in our community. We want to hear from them. We want to consider everyone's input as we move forward. Okay. We also back in 21 talked about our current facilities conditions. Large portion of our building stock is 40 to 60 years old. Our recent work is approaching 20 and 30 years ago. So we haven't done a lot in many, many years. Many of our building components have 15 to 30-year lifespans. Okay, so a lot of our equipment in our buildings is coming due. And again, that lack of steady systematic building upgrades since the early 2000s have kind of put us in a position where we need to do a lot of work. So today, when we look at this picture, what's changed here is really the second arrow, the 2022 vote. So originally we had planned and talked about every other year going out with a referendum in December to start to make progress toward these needs that we have. With the heightened need for security, with the fact that during the energy performance contract review, we found some work at Gillette Road Middle School in particular that we can't fit in that project. It doesn't meet the really strict payback requirements for an energy performance contract. We've got old heat wheels and heat recovery systems that we just can't replace in that project. So again, Gillette Road's needs for HVAC came to the forefront this year. Main Street's roof continues to be a problem, and we have an old galvanized water main that needs some attention. And Kirk's going to talk more about some of this stuff. We're also in a unique situation in that if we're going to do a significant amount of work at Gillette Road Middle School, this is probably the only opportunity in the next 5 to 6 years that we're going to have to talk about any site improvements. Okay, we have to wait for that maximum cost allowance to reset to be able to consider major upgrades to those to that complex. Okay. So those are some of the considerations that we're going to talk about as we move forward. This really kind of showcases in a different way the same picture. So if you look at that pie as everything we identified in that building condition survey back in 2020, 21, in 21, 22, we voted on about 25% of that work. We recently approved an energy performance contract, which we'll be talking about in the next few months to really define that scope of work a little bit more clearly. And now we're talking about some additional work here in 2022. The green is the proposed work in 23. Now, the size of these pie shapes in this blue area, the light blue, aren't really defined today. We're still working on the budgets for this project. Okay. In the next 2 weeks, we should have those refined. We should be able to come back with financial projections. We should be able to assess our ability to fund these projects and have more information in a few weeks for everybody. So we just really wanted a placeholder here to kind of highlight what that might look like. And as we define that more thoroughly over the next few weeks, we'll really get into the nitty gritty with numbers. Okay. I'm going to let Kirk take it from here, and he's going to walk us through some of the proposed work.
So we're going to come back and chat with you all on October 17th with some more refined numbers and kind of the bigger picture of the package, which will also include, hopefully at that point, making a seeker determination for any proposed projects, and then also possibly a referendum proposition. Right now, given that we've got a lot of moving parts, what we've done is based on what Matt said, and I'll get into the details of each of these in just a second. We've kind of divided them into packages of possible propositions. And the reason why we're doing that is because we have a good idea about kind of the magnitude of each of these elements. And given our interactions so far with the facilities committee, which we've met a couple times on this, we want to try and package these things in a way that we can go and from a public relations standpoint, be able to convey the importance of these elements, but also give choices to the district. Because one of the great things about having a 10-year capital improvement plan is that we know and have identified what all the components are, and built into that system is the flexibility to pivot when we need to, when we see higher priorities kind of hit the marketplace. And that's exactly why we're here today. So proposition one really is at the forefront and would include all of the safety and security elements, which I'll talk about in just a second, as well as the junior high lavatories, which haven't been touched in forever, and would be upgraded to be like many of the other bathrooms in the district, and facilities like at the high school. We have the sinks out in the hallway, so it's better from a security standpoint and also accessibility. Proposition two would be the work at the Gillette Road Middle School, which includes all the infrastructure that Matt talked about, air conditioning, mechanical systems, and other things that wouldn't fit in the EPC. And then also the two components at Main Street. Main Street has and will continue to be one of those elements where we're trying to maintain that building's function as best we can until future discussions decide how that building's going to continue to be utilized, but we have to keep it operational. It's got a 30-year plus roof on it right now that is at literally the end of its useful life. And we're concerned that at some point, we're going to have to invest a lot more money and potential damage from that if we don't fix that right now. And then the water main, as Matt talked about. The other proposition, which kind of dovetails with proposition 2 potentially, is the site work at Gillette Road Middle School. That is one of those elements because it falls into an incidental category that we're up against the maximum cost allowance that we talk a lot about. And that's going to be a challenge if we don't look at the site work holistically in Gillette, and there's more work to be done there. But this starts with the multipurpose field and the baseball field and allows us to do that phase of the work potentially. And then 5 or 6 or 10 years from now, then we can tackle the rest of the site work. If we don't do that now, we're just going to kick that can down the road. So the safety and security was at the forefront of our discussions. We reviewed every single building in the district along with Matt and his staff, and we identified the main components of what would be in the safety security package. This is similar to what we've done at a lot of neighboring districts who have packaged these types of systems into a safety and security referendum. Many of them have already been implemented. Most recently, they include standardizing each of the buildings so that they're of very similar nature in terms of entry. So the secure vestibules, we're going to be strategically locating security films throughout some of the major areas of the building. We have a uniform campus notification and PA system like what we did at Bear Road, fire alarm upgrades, exterior signage, which is huge, which would label exterior doorways and classrooms, all of the identifiers that many of the buildings lack right now that would allow for first responders and others to be able to, better service the building under any event, whatever that might be. A two-way radio system is a backup system, given, the nature of everything being digital right now from a communications standpoint. And then keying systems, wayfinding, and doors and hardware. So we've evaluated and identified all of those components at each of the building, and they're going to be part of that.
Yeah, so one thing to clarify, so each building has different needs. So the scope for each building is not going to necessarily be the same. But holistically, those are all things that we're looking at across the board. And it's not that we're not safe. I want to reiterate that. Our buildings are safe. We're able to secure our doors. We do repairs where necessary. We have aging facilities. There's upgrades that are needed. We're looking, years ahead to even start this project work, let alone complete the work. So we have to be forecasting long into the future to make sure our needs are met. Okay.
And I also just want to point out when it comes to the safety and security elements, obviously we've already done this at Bear Road. We've already done this for the most part at Smith. And these are already planned for in the capital projects that are, ongoing right now for Lakeshore and Cicero L. So we're talking about the rest of the infrastructure that would be part of this referendum because we've already built those costs and work into the previous referendum. Gillette Road, as we talked about, kind of stands alone with the referendum in terms of the infrastructure work, which really has to do with the mechanical systems there. And then the Main Street is really the roof recoating and the water main, which is original galvanized pipe. And then this is the Gillette Road Middle School proposed site work, which would include the baseball and the multipurpose field as a new synthetic turf surface, as well as the entire loop walkway around the existing fields that would be resurfaced, as well as most of the sidewalks and connective tissue for all of that site, and including the A and B lots, which are really the overflow lots for all of the athletic facility.
So a couple things here. Really important is ADA accessibility. Okay, so the current pathway system is not accessible. And that's one of the primary goals with updating the pathways is to create accessibility. The parking lots are in really rough shape. They definitely need to be reworked. And our varsity baseball field, we've had ongoing complaints for many, many years about it not being playable in the spring. We lose a lot of our season on that field. So, you know, if we don't put this project forward today, we lose the opportunity if we move forward with the rest of the work at Gillette, and we have to wait another 5 or 6 years to even consider this before max cost allowance resets, and we have that opportunity again. So that's really the driver behind putting this project forward today. We're very sensitive to the fact that you know, the economy is not in a great place, but we also think it's part of our good stewardship for the district to put this forward and give people a choice.
So as Matt pointed out, we will be spending about the next week packaging, once we have all the numbers, with the financial information that we're going to get from the district's fiscal advisors. Obviously, the goal is to maximize aid and minimize district share. And so that's what we're going to be working on right now. We'll come back to you on the 17th with those packages, and some of these may change a little bit based on that information that we receive. And then we'll lay out the entire storyline for you on the 17th.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, actually, I do. You had mentioned safety and security, which is fantastic. That is, of course, top of mind for a lot of people. You said the roof and the pipes for Main Street, but I believe Main Street has a security issue as far as there's one door going in and then it's wide open. Is there steps to address that, to maybe have a secondary door just for security's sake?
Yeah, we recently introduced SROs to all our buildings. And those are things we're looking at closely. You know, we haven't ruled anything out. Everything's still on the table for this. Over the next few weeks, like I said, we're going to be really looking at the numbers to see what's going to finally fall in the scope. You know, so those are conversations with the facilities committee that we'll keep, you know, open and keep consideration going.
But Matt brings out a really good point about the introduction of SROs. Unfortunately, the lead time on all these projects takes a long time. And so a mitigating factor right now is that we have SROs in all of our buildings, and they're very attuned to this point that you brought out, and other issues with other buildings that they're attentive to.
Are they at Gillette, are they addressing the softball fields too, or just baseball?
So we've done a lot of work on the softball fields. What we found is that the softball fields recover much faster than the baseball field. That's why it's the primary driver. If you look at the overall cost of these type of improvements, we can't afford to do both at the same time. This will be a multi-sport field that'll support both genders and many, many sports for the district. We thought this was the best starting point. And we could definitely consider softball down the road, but we really couldn't afford to do both in the same cycle.
And we have identified a graphic for the future improvements if we're able to get to those in that time frame after the maximum cost allowance resets, because when it comes to the site work components, they become really incredibly challenging from an aidability standpoint if we do too much at the same time.
I think it's also, if I could just interject on the softball fields, Matt's being modest. His team has done a tremendous amount of work on those softball fields, relaying, drainage, you know, doing a lot of work. And so our girls are fortunate, and those are much better playing surfaces. Our baseball team, we're just still struggling with the drainage, particularly in the outfield. And so it's really become a critical need for baseball. And I think softball, they're in really good shape with their fields as they exist today.
I got a question. So if I'm correct, the baseball field is not going to be turf. That's so
the
how many
proposed plan.
other school districts have turf for their baseball fields? Because speaking of like the surfaces, don't we want to have like consistency throughout all sports in Section 3?
So there are many area districts that either already have or are in planning for similar facilities. I don't have a firm number for you, but I can get that.
But our number one compatible district in this area just approved a turf baseball field. So they're moving forward with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna have, you said you're gonna crunch numbers for the next time, so maybe have these. Life expectancy of a turf field, all right, and overall maintenance costs compared to the maintenance costs now would be nice to show the public, because I know, and I know the life expectancy of a turf field depends on what type of turf you buy. I get that. So, I just would be curious to have those numbers at least ready for the next.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll do that as part of the public relations part of this whole thing. Typically turf fields, right now, the way that SED handles it is they have to have a 15-year lifespan, which is basically the time frame of the bonding for that before you can reset and replace. And they've come a long way in the last few years. So most of them, while you're not going to get a 15-year warranty, they're going to mostly be in the 12-year range. And then they're going to service after that. But that's pretty much standard throughout the industry right now. And then the costs it has to do with the playability. So you're going to be able to use the fields a lot more, especially with the conditions that area is right now. And we'll be able to show you those costs.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're at the public comment portion of the meeting. We do not have anybody signed up today. Okay, I'll just remind anybody who might be listening that the board is open to any public comments. We do set aside 30 minutes at our meetings for people to speak in 3-minute increments. So please, you're welcome to come and tell us what you're thinking. We'll move on to Board of Education Committee reports. I'll go to policy. I don't think you've had a meeting, but you have a date coming up.
Yes, I believe is it November the 11th? October 11th, sorry.
Okay.
We
thank you.
do have a policy on tonight's agenda for the board's approval.
All right, thank you. Wednesday, and I'm going to be out of town, but I'm going to try and zoom in if I have Wi-Fi. Because I know you're going to ask me my thoughts. So, all right, superintendent's comments.
Thank you very much. Just a few comments again. The students are not here, but they were outstanding. They sat there for 35 minutes. And many of them are quite young, and it just shows the quality of students that we have, their parents, and we just need to continue to promote that kind of reading and commitment. Last Friday, we were able to be victorious over Henninger. As far as football, Kate Putman, our wonderful runner, was victorious at the McQuaid Invitational. Again, I can't thank Al Sturpey enough for the things that he does for our district. And he had walked through our Carl W. Siley Bear Road, the reading challenge. And whenever we need something, we can call on our local assemblyman. We can call on Senator Mannion. We can call on Pam Hunter, and they've just been real responsive to the needs of schools. I do want to remind people, it just is darker in the mornings, and I'm seeing our students in the high school and junior high walking the roads, getting ready for the bus. So if people are listening, just be mindful that we have students waiting at the bus stops. Our high school has an open house on Thursday night, and that will complete most of our open houses. And we want to hear from parents, and if we can improve things as far as our open houses or the needs of families, please let us know. And I think that covers it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bowles. Board of Ed comments. I have a request, but I'll let other people go first if they'd like. If they'd not like, then I'll go to my request. So, and I checked this with my boss, the district clerk here. I think I'm the only one signed up for NSBA, and the board can appoint a voting delegate. So I apologize for not putting it on the agenda sooner, but I've been told that we can, if somebody would be kind enough to make a motion to appoint me voting delegate since I'm attending, we could get a second. You could discuss that, shoot it down, put somebody else up, whatever you want to do. So we have a motion from Ms. Segru. We have a second from Mr. Crabtree. Okay, so the motion is to appoint me as voting delegate. It's basically you review the resolutions of the New York State School Boards Association. They do come in a packet. The school boards reviews them ahead of time. They have some that they recommend, some that they recommend to vote down. The resolutions come from member school districts. So, there are some resolutions like reformatting the foundation aid, simple things like mom and apple pie that we'd obviously support. So that's what that's about. If there's any questions or comments or seeing none and no other candidates stepping forward, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. So you have some registration stuff for NSBA. And then I get a code and it's all done Zoom. They don't do it in person anymore. I did go once in 2019 when it was in person. Okay, thank you for that. And I don't have any further comments for anybody else. All right, we'll move along to our routine action items. I'll look for a motion to place the minutes of the meeting of September 26th before us. Motion from Dr. Kramer, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Those are carried. Motion please to place items B, C, and D before us. Motion from Ms. Zagru, second from Mr. Thorne. These are the placements of disabled students for school, preschool, and in-home instruction by the various committees. That is before us at this time. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Those are carried. We have our marketable, non-marketable surplus declaration. If I get a motion, place that before us. Motion from Mr. Moody Woosick, second from Dr. Kramer. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Those items are carried. Item B, request to approve resolution to undertake alteration to Roxborough Road Elementary School. Motion to place it before us, Mr. Marizio, second from Mr. Thorne. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have a policy that was brought before us, as reported by Mr. Thorne. So we can motion to place that before us. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Ms. Kruger. That policy is before us. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Acknowledgement of now, got to take that reading challenge. Acknowledgement of gifts. Motion, place that before. Motion from Mr. Moody Woosick, second from Ms. Kruger. That is before us. You can see those listed there. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have one retirement to acknowledge this evening, and that is Deanna Candy, teaching assistant, retiring with 15.4 years of service to us here in North Syracuse. So congratulations on her retirement. Hope it is a long and healthy one. And a motion to place instructional personnel report A before us. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Ms. Kruger. That is before us to accept. Any discussions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And B, support staff personnel B. Motion from Mr. Moody Woosick, second from Dr. Kramer. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we have no requests for executive session. If there's any board member that has a request for an appropriate item for executive session, you can make that motion now. Seeing none, then I'll look for a motion for adjournment. Motion from Mr. Marizio, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:09.